Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. And here is another episode of Seen and Heard.
Hi, everyone. Today with us we have Chris Aldridge. Chris, thank you so much for saying yes to coming to our show. Could you tell the viewers a few words about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Welcome, everyone. And thank you, Adita and Darko, for the invitation. I'm really excited for our chat today. I'm Chris, and I am a business and social media strategist and mentor. I help people build businesses that are profitable as much as personal. And I focus on business development, on personal branding, and content strategy.
Okay. That covers a lot of ground that I think our listeners will be interested in. So, what kind of problems do your clients normally have? What do they come with so that our listeners can recognize their struggles there?
Absolutely. I think a lot of the times, looking at the bigger picture, my clients come in with a lot of ideas, ambition, and motivation to get their business ideas um, brought into reality, right? They have something in their chest. They're like, okay, I'm excited to do this, but I have a million ideas. So their ideas oftentimes are very scattered in their minds. They're all over the place. So in our first call or in our first interaction, they word vomit everything out to me. I love it because I'm a great listener and I like to capture and really pay attention to the things that stand out to me the most, and then be able to sort of, you know, translate that scatteredness into something a little bit more tangible, a little bit more solid, a little bit more sustained. So that's, I think, the first part of my clients' usual problems. It's like, okay, I have all these things. What can we do to make something out of it that's really good for me? And then talking a little bit more technical, a lot of the times is what what are the services that I can offer? What can I do with the thing that I love? So it can, I have a client who is an artist based in New York. She is trying to, come to, she wants to be more promoted in galleries in the New York art scene. So, in those cases, we're not technically looking at services, right? But we are looking at a type of service, connections. So it's not always selling, but it's how are you going to present yourself or what you're going to deliver using your business, personal brand on social media. So, yeah.
Personal brand and social media. Is it today the whole everything is going on social media, or are there also some other channels beside it?
That's a good question. I like to think as social media as this pendulum, if you will. If you look back at like the pandemic and COVID-19, a lot of TikTok and things like that was like lip syncs and trending audios and silly dances. And of course, as consumers, we were all in because we had not a lot of other options. And so there was a huge boom there of influencers and content creators. And I think sort of the inklings of what personal branding would be. And I think from there, the pendulum has shifted from that into a little bit more of aesthetics, a little bit more high production, a little bit more performance. But then people got tired of that too. So then the pendulum started to swing again back into that era of like, I'm just gonna come on here, do something as natural as doing a silly dance, and then post it. And I think that's where social media is headed towards. I think people are really burned out of um the performance of content creators. I think people are burned out of people selling to them constantly. Ads on the platforms have also ruined the dynamic. They are businesses themselves. and they've been acting more like businesses in these past years. So people are, I think, looking for, I know this is like a buzzword, but they're looking for that authenticity when it comes to who they're engaging with, what they're consuming. And so I think that's where personal branding stands out, because personal branding means that you can create your own, you can take up space, first of all, on the platform. You can claim your story, the narrative that you want to tell. And basically, what I like to think about personal branding is that you're creating content for a version of yourself. You're not necessarily creating content for the masses or the internet. And so, what that allows for you, and the power in that, is that people can choose to relate. And I think that's what is powerful about that, because I feel like a lot of the times consumers on social media are sort of just opt in to whatever, the platform decides, right? The algorithm pushes out curated content for you. And so then when you have someone with a personal brand come in, that, the consumer now has an option. Okay, do I like what this person is saying? Do I love what they're saying? Do I not like what they're saying? And have that option to consume that or not. So in a way, a little bit more of a critical type of consumption. So I don't know if that answered the question. I know that was a long-winded answer, but I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, it does answer one part of it at least. But what I see and what you're telling also, that social media is at itself just a mess of everything, and in the last year or two, it stopped even being that you follow some person. You just follow some content, whatever it is, just vomit of some content. So you don't really
Yeah.
even follow the person. If you follow it, it doesn't mean you will see their content. So is it still uh, personal brand? Does it need to be connected with some social media, or perhaps some other platform? From what I know,
Oh,
you have a Substack that you are
yeah.
regular there, and you cannot call Substack social media. So is there a shift from social media to something else?
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Well, part of your question, the first part, Darko, I think that's another powerful thing about personal branding, because it's your story, it's your voice, it's your experiences that you're communicating or packaging into the world. So social media, I think, is one way or one channel to express your personal brand. So I think that's what's powerful about personal branding, because let's say tomorrow Meta shuts down, or Beta Dance takes away TikTok, from everywhere. Now what? You still have that personal branding. You still have that packaging, the messaging, the marketing aspect, so that you can take it to other platforms like Substack, like Medium, I know, like here on LinkedIn. And I think that, so that's my answer to the first part of the question. And then with social media, specifically with Substack, I love Substack, and I signed up to Substack about a year ago, because a year ago I was going through a phase on social media where I was just burnt out. I didn't post actually for about 6 months or so, because I was just so tired of having to keep up with metrics, right? Or with the algorithm, or a strong hook, or
I
this or
think
that.
most of us go through kind of through that phase. Okay, this is just too much to
Yeah,
fight it, or
exactly.
just to look at everything detail there. Oh,
Right, you're like, you really get over it. But I think the bigger question, or the bigger issue there for me, and for a lot of people, is that we are, and going back to what I previously said, is that we're our thinking is a little bit based on customer service type of thinking. Okay, so what are they gonna like? What are they gonna comment on? What are they gonna say? That's always they. It's an external, it's an othering. And I think with personal branding, you eliminate that. You eliminate all of that. And you're like, well, what would I say to a past version of myself? What would I say to me right now? What would I say to a future version of me who's already successful, who already is thriving, so that I can get there? And so then you create content, sort of as you holding up a mirror, and your front camera, right? And so when I made that shift, or when I made that thinking shift, um, I've been able to post content consistently for over a year now, without stopping, without feeling drained, without feeling like it's a chore, right? And it's actually, for me, it turns into, and this is another piece of personal branding, content turns into this tool that allows me to check in with myself, to keep me accountable. So for example, like in some vlog style type of content pieces, I always say, okay, I went to the gym today, or I show a clip of myself at the gym. And so it's not necessarily, because I'm doing it for my community, although there are more technical aspects of that, like brand repetition within that. But for me, it's like, okay, I get to show up to the gym. I have to force myself because I need to record a little clip of that. And then I can put that into my vlog. So yeah, that's a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I'd say it's an interesting way to put it, to have with that part at least some bit of accountability. And from what I heard, you also help others with this, with kind of posting challenges or posting and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes. So do you mean like with my clients getting onto social media and posting their content?
Yeah, and with this kind of accountability, how to get yourself accustomed to it, to be regular there, and
Yeah.
just start posting, and not, oh, this post hasn't had so many, I don't know, whatever,
Oh,
likes,
I see what you mean.
comments.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'll need to post something new next week or next day, whenever.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, that's a tough one, Darko. I think, and it's a real hurdle to pass. I think
Mhm.
I have overcome it at this point, but at the beginning, when I first started my social media about like 4 or 5 years now, oh, I was obsessed with these, what I like to call vanity metrics. I was obsessed with the likes, how many, I would post and I would just sit there and like refresh and like try to see like, has it gone viral? Is it getting views? Is it getting likes? Is it comments? And I think because there was an aspect of that, or when I was posting, that when I was posting back then in my old pieces, I was performing. I was putting on an act, a smile, or I was doing something silly, or I like looked at a trend that I was seeing and then I picked it up and try to like, communicate my message to that. So because I was coming from that point of view of performing or putting on an act or putting on disguise, I think of course I was obsessed with the vanity metrics, right? I'm like, okay, did it work? Did it work? Did it work? This more internal message in my brain. And I think that's
Why
the
doesn't
first
this
part.
work? Why did that work yesterday?
Right. Why? Yeah, exactly. What's happening? And part of that, Darko, I think there are things, and I think this is just something that we have to come into acceptance, is that there are some things that are completely out of our control. What the algorithm interprets our video is, and then what groups of people does it decide to push? Are those people like actually engaging, non engaging? So there's, I think, a lot of variables that we have to come into acceptance that are out of our control. But what we can control is, we know, our thoughts, our feelings about our content, right? So if you're coming from it as putting on this act or putting on this show, I think that it's easier to succumb to, okay, why didn't the act work, right? Why isn't this coming across as I planned it to? And so I think the shift from that for me was treating, first of all, was treating content as sort of a journal entry. And I think that's what, personal branding comes down to, is talking about your feelings, your experiences, but being really honest with that. And I think a part of that, or the challenge in that, is to be vulnerable, right? And I think it's hard to be vulnerable. Sometimes I still catch myself, you know, maybe pausing parts of my experience because I'm scared of what the internet is going to say. And it's not to say that
Did
you
you
want to
delete
share.
some posts sometime? Say, oh, this is
Oh,
too much. Maybe not. In the first 5 seconds or something like that.
interesting. Um, I didn't delete them, but if I thought I was sharing something that was a little bit too personal, I would sort of try to remove myself. So instead of speaking from an I would use a second person and do you, like I'm speaking to myself, but in the second person. And so that's helped me to break that barrier of vulnerability and come across. And I think I talk about vulnerability because as a coach, I have to be a leader. I have to be a leader in my space. I have to show that I'm confident in all aspects and of my life, in all moods and all emotions and all feelings, because what I'm doing at the end of the day, and this just comes down to building trust. And I think that's the power of building a business that's personal, building a personal brand. It's the fact that we have to build trust with the consumer. I think there's like a magical rule in marketing that says, like, you have to see something 7 times before you even consider checking it out or buying it. So it's that reiterative process. And I think a little bit of more of a technical aspect of branding is to be repetitive. I think a lot of the times we're trying to search for the new idea, or we're searching for how to twist something, but it has to be repetition. Like I'm doing this new vlog series on my TikTok account where I talk about my mornings. And I always start the vlog with I have a mirror over there, and I put my camera and I start the vlog there, just looking at myself at the mirror. And then whatever the rest of the video is different, right? It can be different shots, different scenes, wherever I am. But it trains, if you will, the viewer or the person that's consuming my content to expect, okay, it's that dude with the mirror and he's going to talk about his mornings. I can choose to swipe or I can choose to consume. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting technique. Okay, just to get them used. Okay, here he is with the mirror. I know what I'm expecting. And not morning.
Then is
Is this
here. We've trained them to come on Thursdays.
Exactly.
Consistency is a superpower.
It is.
And this series of morning routine vlogs, is it a part of what, if I understand it good, 200 posts in 30 days challenge?
Oh gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this challenge actually was inspired by my own coach. I have a coach myself that helps me become a better coach, and he is posting 500 pieces of content in 30 days. He's posting about 17 times a day, not 17 new ideas. He is repurposing, but it's a lot. It's a lot. So I had to
I
check
don't know if I have 70 new ideas in 30 days, not per day. Okay,
Yeah,
that's extreme.
it is extreme. It's not for the faint of heart. I think you have to be when he started the challenge, and then in our coaching call, he's like, "Are you gonna try it?" And I was like, immediately my gut answer was like, heck no, right? But I took a few days to really think about it, and I was like, okay, I have had some traction on my social media. My business is, somewhat stable, but there's still a gap between where I am and where I want to be. And so I had to really, take a second to reflect and ask myself, am I content where I am right now? Or do I need to take steps to get where I want to? And that determine, and that gap or building that bridge is going to take hard work. It's going to take sweat. It's going to take perseverance. It's going to take consistency. um and part of the reason I chose to do this challenge my way, doing 200 pieces because I couldn't do 500, was to come on as a coach and not just talk the talk, but walk the walk and say, hey, you want to make your business successful, you want to have a good following, you want to have this and that. Well, it's going to take hard work. It's not going to just come out of thin air because, it's not impossible, right? Maybe your next video goes viral, but that doesn't really mean anything nowadays. So it has to take hard work. And so I think part of, I think a huge motivation for me to do this challenge, yes, it's going to be hard work, but I know that at the end of the 30 days, I'm going to have a repertoire, if you will, a portfolio documenting all the steps I took to get to a better place. I don't have a doubt that something's going to be happening at the end of 30 days, whether it's more followers, whether it's more, client leads, etc. And I think another part of why I'm doing this challenge is because of data. And this is something I use with all of my clients. The first thing I tell my clients when we start working together, I'm like, go post 10 to 20 videos, whatever comes to your mind, whatever inspires you, whatever way you want to do it. If they're a little bit lost, I tell them, well, you can do a vlog piece of content, you can do a lifestyle, you can do a tutorial, you can do 101, type of pieces of content, you can do b-roll content, you can decide to not show your face and do like, different vlog styles of like objects with a voiceover. So the first thing I'm like, clients, go post 10 to 20 pieces of content. Why? Because when we're first starting, and this is a method that I use, is to collect a sample size of data. I used to be I graduated in with a bachelor's of science in geography, but I also had a minor in statistics. I love statistics in college, and so I brought that into my methodology, into my business. And we all know that we need a sample size to deduce something, to make a conclusion of something. And so that's why I tell my clients to go post 10 to 20 videos at least, between our first session and our next session, so that we have a sample size of, hey, what are the common themes and topics that your video is resonating with? Do people like theme A? Do people like topic B? Do people not like topic A? So let's not talk about that. And then from there, we can take that data and those pieces of content that quote unquote performed well and repeat rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, so that we can start to see growth. Because we know that we're targeting what their target audience resonates with. They feel good about creating that piece. So that's another part of it. If my client says, hey, this video performed really well, but I didn't really like doing it. So I'm like, don't do it. Because what is the point of that performing well when in 3 months you're just gonna feel, awful creating that piece of content? That's not sustainable. So those are two parts. And so going back to my challenge, part of it was for me to create a really huge sample size. I want to have these 200 pieces of content be my sample size. And from there, take that and see what resonated the best, and then rinse and repeat for that. So after the 30 days, I will reduce, my production and uploading to one post a day, where what I was doing before. So yeah, that's a little bit about that. With I don't know if I can go into like the strategy that I'm doing for posting 200 pieces of content.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. But what you said was really great when talking about personal brand and having this data just come in, and you see that people like something, that you shouldn't actually lose yourself and start being just a performer, what our other side is wanting you to be, just to stay yourself. Okay, they seem to like it, but I don't like it's not really me, so I shouldn't do it anymore. It doesn't matter. Somebody else should do it if they do like it. So this is a great insight.
Exactly, because I got into that pit myself, if you will. I remember on my first platform, I was on a foreign social media app, Red Note, and I did this video where I was like acting with a prop or something like that. It was really funny, and it went viral. And I was like, ugh. No, because I hated doing it. I had to like come in with a lot of energy. I had to like put on this disguise, and I had to script it really well, and I had to have the right lighting, and it was a lot. And then the editing was a lot too. And I was like, and from there I learned, okay, um, maybe not do things that feel forced. So the content strategy for the 200 pieces of content is the following. So for me, it first starts on TikTok, because TikTok rewards high volume, and it doesn't punish you if you post multiple videos in one single day. So my goal is to post between 2 to 3 a day. So far, I've been posting 3 a day. Although I am just
That
yesterday
doesn't
finished.
add up to 200.
Yes. I'm getting there.
The math is not there.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm doing 3 a day so far, but I'm giving myself a little bit of grace and a little bit of room, because weekend, summer. So if I don't get the 3, I'll at least have the minimum of 2. So from there, it's going to split into 2 parts. I'm going to go into Instagram and Substack notes. So from the 3 videos a day that I do on TikTok, I'm going to pick the one that performs the best, the one that resonated with a lot with my audience, and take the hardest hitting point of that video. And then take it and transform it into text for Substack notes. And Substack notes, I'm going to try to do 2 to 3 a day too. Post 2 text posts a day. So that's one part. The second part is Instagram. So on Instagram, the thing about Instagram is that it doesn't necessarily will reward you for posting multiple times a day, because Instagram pushes your videos to followers first and then new people second. So if you do post, 2 to 3 times on Instagram, you're flooding your followers with your face, again and again and again and again. And on Instagram, your followers are following you because they already like you. So they don't need to see you as often. Versus TikTok, those 3 videos can be pushed out to 3 very different groups, and they're all different audiences. So with Instagram, I'm going to take the TikTok from the previous day that performed really well and tweak it a little bit. Maybe I add like a sound, or I add an effect, or I add some captions or something like that, really light. Or maybe I switch the clip, or I trim it and delete the parts that I, looking at it a second time, I was like, I could have not said that. And then I take that and upload it on Instagram, because Instagram does, like a little bit more of a production, if you will, and post that on Instagram. So that's, yeah. So those are the parts. Next, there's a next layer to this. So
Oh,
on
there's some
Instagram,
more.
yeah.
We already got some insights on the algorithms of different platforms. So okay,
Yeah. So
we
then
want more.
so on Instagram, the next part of that is to follow up with Instagram stories, because Instagram stories it's the best place, I think, for me, besides YouTube, to sell. So I'm going to post an Instagram story every other day. I'm realizing that I do have the capacity to post an Instagram story every day. And what I want to specifically post about are my offers. I think a lot of people, including myself and my clients, are, feel that selling is a little bit icky, or feel like selling is something that shouldn't be done because there's this negative connotation vibe around selling. And so I'm doing it, first of all, to get over myself. And second of all, to, sell my offers, because I know that what I'm providing is a solution to someone's problem. I know that if I don't post about my services, someone is still stuck where they are with their problem, someone in my target audience. So I'm doing a disservice by not selling, by not posting about my offers. Because, if your target audience is annoyed with how many times you're offering, they're probably not your target audience, because your target audience wants you to solve their problem. So, so that's a little bit about selling with ID stories. Let's go back to Substack. Substack notes. I'm going to take those 2 text posts and post them on LinkedIn. So I'm back on LinkedIn after quite some time. And the reason I'm posting on LinkedIn is because I think that people here are a little bit more serious than the other social media platforms about building, a personal brand or building a business for themselves. I have the sensation that there's also that people have a little bit more capital here to invest. And yeah, I just feel like there's a more overall on LinkedIn, I feel like a little bit more seriousness to hey, I want to change something and I want to look for the right person to do it, and let's go. So people are more ready on here, in my point of view. So I'm posting 2 LinkedIn posts a day from the Substack nodes. So that's the whole infrastructure.
It's a lot.
Okay. So even if it is 200 posts per in 30 days,
Yeah, and
it's a bit of it's quite a lot of repurposing. So you
yeah.
don't need to create that much from scratch.
No,
Okay.
no. I think, if you created 200 new, what am I posting? Let's say 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm posting about 9 pieces of content a day, or 10. That would be insane to create 9 new fresh ideas. No. And I think because people, your audience, will prefer to consume your advice or your tips, your strategies in different formats. Some people might really like, videos. But I found a lot of success on Substack through writing. A lot of people like to read. So it's yes, it is a lot of repurposing. Um, but the first, it all comes from the first posts on TikTok. And those, those are 3 new fresh ideas every single day, which then, feed the rest of the skeleton and structure. So yeah.
You've shared a lot here, and I think a lot of people are gonna hang on to these very specific things or what the algorithm likes, because a lot of people have these questions right now. But I think there's a more fundamental thing there of people being very hesitant about starting and sharing things that are personal. So how do you
Yeah.
help someone even, start with the first post and then not stop after the 10th one, because the results are never instant on social media?
Yes. Oh, that's a good question. So when it comes to posting about your experiences, um, I will never twist my client's arm and say, "Go post it." Go talk about your traumas or unpleasant moments in your life. It really has to come out of them first and foremost. Like I wanna be able to make sure that you are open to doing that. First of all, second of all, if they are ready to share their stories, um, I I tend to, I don't want you to dump all of your life in one post or in a few posts. So I think for me, the first step is to share, just sharing why you're doing what you're doing is already starting to go in the path of being more vulnerable. Because I think, you know, to share why you're doing this, to share the dreams that you have, that's also vulnerable. I feel like it's not always the unpleasant moments that we have to share or coming from a wound, but we also want to share the positive, the excitement, the success, the why I'm doing this, communicate that passion. So that's one part. Um, and then the second part, I like to give my clients space to post at a frequency that feels right for them. I'm not going to be here and tell you, well, you need to post 3 times a week or you need to post 5 times a week, because it goes back to that example that I gave with, one post going viral and then feeling forced. If you're feeling forced from the get-go to, post quote unquote 3 times a week, for example, that's not going to work out in the long term either. Because then by month 3, you're posting 3 times a day. Oh, something came up. I posted twice. Oh no, I didn't get to 3. And then it just starts to spiral and you lose yourself and your content. Does posting more often help you and benefit you? Yes, I'm not going to lie to you. If you post every day, you're going to see a much faster growth and much, faster results than if you post once a week. But as a coach, I have to respect where you are at the moment. Usually when a client does start to work with me, it's because they are ready to make that shift or transformation. It's not necessarily, I'm not going to be someone's lifeguard or savior. I'm not going to tell you, okay, well, if you do this and this, and this, you're going to get this, and this. I can't. I have to come from it as like, okay, we're on the same team. I got you. Let me, lift you up or let me walk beside you. But it does, it's a two-way relationship. It has to, a lot of the times the motivation, the missions do have to come from my client. And then my end is to say, hey, you told me you want to post 3 times a week. You posted 2 times, or maybe you didn't post at all. What's happening? What's not working for you? Is it, the type of content you're producing? Are you a little bit stuck on views and engagement and comments? Are you, feeling like you have to go in a different direction? So things like that, more of a reflection process. When it comes to motivation in terms of likes, comments, and saves, what I like to tell my clients, and it's basically what I tell myself, is that you have to. I think it's a matter of perspective, because even when someone is starting out, let's say they get, on TikTok, let's say they get 200 views, think about if you're on the street and 200 people come on the street and tell you, hey, I saw your video, or hey, I like what you said, you would feel really good about that, right? So it's a little bit of a perspective shift to just ground you and say, it's not that deep. It's one piece of content that has a lifespan about 24 hours. That tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a next day. So that's where, that's what I tell myself, and that's what I like to tell my clients. And then, the next day you can choose to either keep on going and try something new, or look at the video and say, hey, maybe was my hook not the strongest? Was the message that I was trying to say, was it impactful in what I was trying to say? Did I communicate it in the best way? And so you can choose to do those things. So I don't know if that answered your question, Adita.
For sure. I think that what's being repeated here as well is to take it seriously. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people still connect social media to a lack of seriousness, and then they don't see a
Oh,
place for it in their business. Even though we talk about it all the time, I think there is a mental shift there that needs to happen. I don't know what's your experience with that.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because yeah, I think it's funny because, I don't know about you, but when I look at a business like, more of a product based business, like a skincare or shoes or clothing, I go onto their website, and as a consumer, I expect to see social media links, because if not, I feel like I don't trust the business. Like, what's happening? Are you official? Are you legit? Right? Because I think business and social media have come so hand in hand, because social media is a way, it's a way to connect on a human level to your customer, to your potential client, because people can see behind the scenes, if you will, of the business, or how it's going, or what's in it. And so, as a consumer, I do that. So how can I not expect that my consumer isn't doing that too when they go on my website, and when they see, do I have social media? Do I not? And if I don't, then, my trust diminishes like tenfold. Um, but yes, I have had clients come to me and they're like, well, I saw this social media thing working. Can you help me? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you, usually they come in with a little bit of sarcasm in the tone. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Are you ready to take this more seriously? Because this is a job. Social media is a job. It takes skill learning. It takes storytelling skills. It takes time to produce your content. It takes time to edit your content if you're going to go that route of production. It takes time to comment and interact. And so uh, it is part of your business. It's a segment of your business that if you want it to work for you, it's something that you have to invest time, energy, and focus in. And that's why I'm so adamant about going back to why you're going to do social media in the first place. And second of all, are you coming at social media from a place of, hey, this is going to help my business grow, or oh, maybe, or and take it seriously? Are you coming from a place of, oh, well, I have to put on this disguise and, lip sync to this song and hope for the best? Because that's not going to work.
Yeah, and like you said, it takes quite a lot of time, and
It does.
sometimes it seems that it just starts to be purpose of itself to produce this content, to have it all. Do you have some practical tips, or from your experience, how much time should business or person that is in business actually set aside for this personal branding part, so it doesn't just eat up everything, and
Ooh.
there is no time to work and get some money and just work on that, or even to be okay, this is not enough, you are not investing in enough in personal branding, you should do some more. Is it
Yeah.
in perhaps percentage per week, how much should actually be set aside for this?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So many things. I think the first part is that a lot of the times, myself, I'm guilty of this, is that we overthink our content. So what overthinking does is take time, and that takes time. Because
Yeah, most of us don't even count it in, like planning, analyzing. This all gets into this
yeah,
part also. So
yeah, and so well, let's say you are newer to social media and you're new to posting content. I think it's normal that it's going to take you a little bit more longer than someone like me. Now I'm at a place where from ideation to posting, I take about an hour 15 to from ideation to posting, because I am not a high production person in terms of creating content. I like volume more than less volume, and I don't second guess myself. I'm like, you know what? I have this idea. Let me try it out. Let me post it. If it works, shift in my perspective to, okay, I think it's a good idea. Let's see if the audience responds. If they don't, well, I think it's still a good idea, but let me try to rework it so the audience does respond. So that's one part of it. But going back, if you're newer, when I started, I remember my first posts, my first few posts, wow, they took about 4 or 5 hours to make one one piece of content. Right. And then I still have to, do my job.
yeah,
So
but at that point you probably weren't posting 2 or 3 times a day, so it was perhaps once a week or twice a
right.
week. So it's not
It,
that much in a week.
exactly. It was a new muscle I was developing. I had, I was sore the next day. I was like, I don't want to look at the camera. I don't want to think. But as, like the gym, like a workout, the more you do it, the better you get it, the stronger your muscle has, the more effort, the more resistance you have, if you will. So I think you have to, be in context or contextualize where you are. Um, Now, there is a difference between, so you can do two things with content. I have had clients that post 3 times a week and they take about 4 hours on each video. Why? Because their videos are these high production, different angles, the right video filter, lighting filter, these dynamic captions. There's a lot of editing. There's a lot of editing, but they're posting 3 pieces of content that are the utmost highest quality. So that is going to help you. That's advantageous for you because um, it's something that people like to see. Wow, you can see the work behind this. Now, I'm never going to do that. I know I can do that, but I'm not going to do that. So for me, I know that I have to post a little bit more frequently because for me, it's like, okay, let me just get my camera, let me post about my personal experiences, my knowledge, my expertise. Let me share that and then go, here at my desk. post it next day, tomorrow. So it I'm losing my train of thought. But it goes to, to the hours in a week. I would say anywhere from, on average, I say, anywhere from 5 to 10 hours a week is what you would probably spend on social media. More hours if you're newer to it, more hours if your type of content that you do is more high production value. Um, but yeah, I think that's a little bit more. Did I get to your answer?
Yeah, yeah. It's actually a great answer. So to put it in perspective, because yeah, someone that is starting might even type one
Oh,
word and think over it for an hour and delete it and then do it
yeah.
again and see how it really goes slow and. Some even get too much into it and do it every day for a couple of hours, and then you're not even working on your job, what you actually are working on. You're working on social media all the time.
Yes. Yeah, I want to speak to that point. I think we forget, well, first of all, we forget that social media is a free tool. It's your freebie in a way. You can't dedicate your whole life to something that's free. Second of all, the lifespan of videos. Most platforms, it's 24 hours or 48 hours at most. So you can't obsess over a video that's no one's going to see day after tomorrow. Third of all, you're unless you know a lot for a lot of my clients, social media is not their business. They're not content creators. They're not going to be influencers. So you have to get really good at your craft. You have to really get good at what you do. Then you add social media, or you seek help from someone like me to help you with social media. Because what it comes down to is, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna, if you're, like my client who's an artist, if you're an artist, you're not gonna go and become this social media coach all of a sudden, right? She's an artist and she's gonna get good at her craft. Where I come in, it's like, okay, let me help you package what you do really good and help you communicate that into the world using the tool of social media to help you get that message. It could be Substack, it could be Threads, it could be LinkedIn. It doesn't always have to be social media too. I think that's another aspect that we think, okay, oh, social media, let me get on video. Okay, let's go. And then you put the camera and you're, silent. You don't know what to say. But you are really good at writing. So, and you can write a blog in like an hour or something and post it. So I think you have to consider your strengths and where you're comfortable too, and not always choose the more trendy platform, but choose a platform where you think you can shine the best and output the best.
And stay yourself.
Exactly.
Stay true to your values. I think that's a big one where people feel that sort of resistance, where something is just not in sync with the way they see the world, but they think they have to perform a certain way.
Yeah, don't sell yourself out. Because I think there's a lot of, in the coaching industry, I feel like there's a lot of, hey, I did $10,000 in 2 weeks on social media, and it's very flashy and it's very shiny and it's appealing, it's attractive, right? But not a lot of people. But what's missing from that is the time and effort and work that it took to get there. Because a lot of times where they're coming from is they already have a huge following and they tweaked something a little bit that made their messaging a little bit stronger, so their audience connected a little bit better, so they had more sales in one period. But that's their livelihood, that's what they're doing, and they're at a farther along point in their journey than where you might be, and you need to contextualize that. You need to be a little bit critical of that. So yeah, I think it's not about, it comes to focusing on yourself and your business and what you love to do, right? Um, I have another client who's a Spanish teacher, and he's really good. His approach is really unique. And I'm like, sometimes we talk about content and how sometimes some videos don't hit and how there's lower season in his business. And I reminded him, like, do you know what you've accomplished so far, right? He's about to hit 10,000 followers. Do you know how many posts have gone viral? Do you remember that your approach is one of the most unique approaches in the market right now? Do you remember, right? Do you remember? Do you remember? So I think we forget about the progress and the steps that we've already taken because we're so focused on that end result that we forget to take a moment to say, oh, okay, I'm not over there at 0. I'm a little bit further along. So yeah.
Tap yourself on the shoulder from time to time.
Exactly.
I think it's a good time to talk about the links I've been sharing. Beyondthelikes.co is where you can find Chris's links and get in touch with him. I'm also going to share your Substack link again.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can tell us in the meantime, where do you like to be contacted? Because you are on different social media. What's your preferred DM place?
I prefer Instagram, to be honest, but I check all my DMs across the board. So, and email too. So no worry about, reaching me wherever you feel most comfortable in.
Excellent. And here is a link straight to mentorship with you. All of these links will be on our YouTube channel underneath the recording, so you can have a look below and find Chris's contact.
Great. Amazing. Thank you.
What's the...
Yeah, and I think it'll help many people with this podcast, but also with your coaching, because people are really confused with this social media. How much? What should I do?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But yeah, for anyone who's listening who maybe wants to start on social media or who feels a little bit lost in social media, my best piece of advice would be to look at how you would have helped a younger version of you. And I think that can apply across many industries. How would you help someone if they were a younger version of you? Start from there and don't think about your audience. You are your own audience.
Perfect. You answered my question without me asking it. Like, what I was going to ask, what's the first question to ask yourself in these situations so that you can move along? For a lot of people, the answer is find somebody to cheer you on and to help you, because you don't have to do all of this alone. And it can be quite a lonely journey.
Yeah. Yes. 1000%. So, yeah.
All right. Our guests are a bit sleepy today. I think they're overwhelmed with the calculations
with
in their head.
Data and
how many times per day should I think I'm thinking of that meme with the lady calculating.
Yeah, with
That's probably where they are right now. So we'll give them a second. They can contact you later on. And if we see some questions underneath the post on LinkedIn as well, we'll let you know so you can help them out.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out too. Oh, yeah. Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to thank you one more time. I'm really grateful for this episode. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for letting me share my knowledge and expertise. And yeah, thank you.
It's been
Thank
a
you so much
pleasure.
for coming and sharing so much information.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care.
Take care.
Yeah.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. Thank you for
And